It would only take a car 1 hour to drive to outer space, driving at 60 miles an hour. This position, it's white to play and win. White's pawns are going forward in this direction, and it might not be as simple as you might think, but I'll explain more about that in just a moment. White to play and win. What do you think the winning move is for white? Well, if you had a chance to look at that, what I want to explain is that normally, when you have two connected passed pawns on the 6th rank if you're white, or it would be on the 3rd rank if you're black going this way, and those two pawns are kind of against a rook, the pawns will always win. And it's normally pretty straightforward. So I want to actually give you a different position very quickly here, this position, where we can still see the pawns and black still has a rook, but black's king and white's king are in different positions. In a position like this, white could really do whatever they want. You can move either pawn forward, and the rook has no way to stop you. If the rook tries to come all the way down here, you simply push the other one, and you're threatening to get a queen both ways. Black can't stop you. If they try to come behind like this, it doesn't matter. You simply push it. Yes, you lose one pawn, but then the other guy gets across. And, the same thing would happen if you played a7. It doesn't really matter where black goes. They could go here. You get the queen. They could go here, and you push. And yes, you lose a pawn, but you get the other queen. It's really straightforward, right? However, this position is different, and the main difference is that white's king is not in a good spot. Notice how black's king has opposition here, and the rook can come over and force the king to the edge of the board, and that changes things drastically. So with that in mind, the only winning move in this position is the move a7. Now, there's really only 3 moves that you could play. A7, B7, or king to B5 are the only moves that really make sense. Maybe you could say king to A5 in some crazy sense, but that's not a good move. So king to B5, B7 do not work. You have to play A7. Why is that the case? Well, let's take a look at B7, because this looks like should be a pretty good move. Black is going to play the move rook to B1 check. And like I mentioned, the king is cutting you off from going this way. So you have to go either to A5, to A4, or to A3. And before I tell you what the best version is, if you'd like to pause, where do you think the king should move to? If you had a chance to look at that, the best version is king to A3. And the reason is if you go up to, like, let's just say A5, black's going to play king C5, threatening to checkmate you. And yet it doesn't matter if you push a pawn, you simply get checkmated, right? For example, if you do something like this, the game is over, you lose. So you have to go back this way. But what you have done is allowed black's king to jump up here to C6 and start attacking your pawns this way. Okay, that's not what you want to do. So that is why we run the other direction, because now if black wants to threaten our king with the checkmate threat, like king to C3, which is the best move, they don't get closer to our pawns. We've lured their king away from our pawns, which is a really good thing. However, we still have the problem of checkmate right here. If we were to try to push this forward, we simply lose to checkmate. So what do we need to play? King to A2, chasing down the rook. But now black has an amazing move, rook to B6. And notice we can't get the queen here because the rook would simply take it. The only way to really threaten anything is to push this forward. But once we do that, black plays rook to A6 check. And where do we have to go? Well, king to B1 is the only move. But now black plays rook to B6 check. And if we keep going back and forth, black's just going to get a perpetual check. The only way to make progress is to go to C1. But now black has a very clever idea. I'll let you guys pause here. How does black draw the game from this position? You got a chance to look at that. The move is rook to H6 all the way to the other side of the board. And the point is that black is going to come down here and checkmate us if we let them. And notice none of these pawn moves really does anything for us. We still get checkmated, right? Same thing with the other guy. We still get checkmated. So we could run this way, but that doesn't help us because black's just going to keep putting us in check, and we've already seen this. So the only thing to do is to run this way. However, black says, okay, well, I can just copy you. And they're threatening the same thing. And again, what's our only try? Keep going, right? Keep going. Keep going. And here, black has another nice move. If you'd like to pause, what's the move for black? Well, if you had a chance to look at that, hopefully you didn't say king here, because then they would walk into a check, which gives us time to, get the queen. But what they can do instead is simply play rook to G6 check. And again, we have a problem, because if we go back this way, guess what? Black says, okay, I'll just repeat. and I'll keep threatening the same thing. And of course, we can run this way, but black's just going to follow us, and that's not going to help us, right? We've seen what happened on that side of the board already. So the only thing to do would be to try to come back this way, but black just keeps checking us. And then if we ever go here, they just check us again, and we have to go back. And we can never get away from the checks. We just can't do it. So this is the problem, going all the way back to the beginning of the position here. This is the problem with playing the move b7. We can't get out of those checks. We just can't do it. Now, on a similar note, king to b5 doesn't really help our cause, because again, black is going to mirror us. And eventually when we push one of our pawns, we're going to have kind of the same issue, except again, black's king is closer and can start hunting our pawns down. Okay, so king b5 is kind of the worst option here of all the choices. All right, so going back to the beginning, the only winning move is a7. Now, you might be wondering, how does a7 stop black from doing the same thing that they just did and threatening checkmate over and over and over again? Well, watch carefully what happens. So black's going to play rook to b1 check, same idea. And again, if you'd like to pause, where should we move to? You got a chance to look at that. This one's pretty straightforward, because I already told you we don't want to run up this way and allow black's king to get into the action. We want to go back this way. But again, black's going to do the same thing, threaten the checkmate. Right? We have to deal with that. We don't have time to get the queen or we lose. So we play king to a2. And now do you remember what black did last time? In the other position, when the pawns were like this, black moved the rook up to b6 to threaten checkmate from this direction. But in this case, they can't do that, because if they try to move here now, well, we just get a queen and we win. Now, this is not a trivial win. It's still a tricky position, but a queen against a rook is a winning endgame. They can't do that because they don't have time, because of the fact that we pushed the A pawn instead of the B pawn. So the only thing black could do would be to throw in one more check. We simply move to the corner. Black is out of checks, and there's really nothing else that black could try. They can't stop us from getting a queen here on A8. So because of the fact that we did the A pawn instead of the B pawn, they don't have time to do all of those checks, and that was the winning solution. Congratulations if you found that a tricky little endgame problem here. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp, play smart, and take care.